Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather in the United States for today's video. So as was on a Wednesday, we're having a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for America. And have a look at 7SB2 for the next 4 weeks as well. Takes us into the beginning of December across the United States. So I shall get on with that for you very shortly. Just say you're going to have a live stream from 6 o'clock. We'll be live streaming our 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Northern Europe as well. So everything that will be included in a normal 10 to 14 day video upload will be included in the live stream. And just be live streamed and we'll have a chat and we'll see how we'll do. We're also going to give away another £30 Amazon voucher at the beginning of the live stream from 6 o'clock. So it's going to be absolutely great. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I shall see everybody there, I hope. Right, okay. So let's get on with USA forecast. Just say these are YouTube exclusives. We don't embed these and the European outlooks that we do on a Thursday. We don't embed these to GWV.com. So you will need to be subscribed to GWV's YouTube channel and click all notifications so you're notified when we are releasing USA forecast every Wednesday. Right then, so let's begin in the tropics. So we've got 3 interest areas. So we've got this yellow X just here. That one is disturbance 1. There's a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours and an 80% chance in the next 5 days. They say a tropical wave located over the eastern Caribbean Sea is producing a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. The wave is expected to move slowly westwards into more conducive environmental conditions over the next several days, and a tropical depression is likely to form late this week or this weekend when the wave reaches the central and western Caribbean Sea. Regardless of development, this system is expected to bring heavy rainfall along with possible flash flooding to the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and portions of Hispaniola over the next couple of days. For more detailed information, refer to products issued by your local weather Met Office, I suppose. So that could well be our next disturbance areas. We've also got Theta just here. So tropical storm Theta is giving maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour with a minimum sense pressure of 989 millibars and moving east-northeastwards at 8 miles per hour. Clicking on Theta, we see that this is going to move towards the Canary Islands, and that's there. So the current position is just here. Going to move just north of the Canary Islands as a tropical storm and go post-tropical by the early part of next week, somewhere away from the coast of North Africa. Quite an unusual system, that one, I think. And then we've also got ETA just here. So this currently giving maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour. Not that far off a hurricane. We'll just have to go another 5 miles an hour more, maximum sustained to 75 miles per hour to become a Category 1 hurricane. So tropical storm ETA is giving maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour with a minimum sense pressure of 988 millibars and moving northwards at 12 miles per hour through the Gulf of Mexico. So let's see if this does make it to hurricane status. Yes, the National Hurricane Center is now moving back up to a Category 1 hurricane in the next few hours. So the current position of ETA is just there, becoming a Category 1 hurricane later on today, probably. And then into tomorrow, back down to a tropical storm and heading into, like, Florida, again, into northern parts of Florida. Along the Gulf Coast, and then moving across Florida as a tropical storm or tropical depression, and then out into the tropical Atlantic, somewhere off the Carolinas, somewhere off South Carolina, and Georgia through the weekend. Weather, I mean, that's back out into the warm waters of the tropical Atlantic again. So weather, once it gets out there, it will power up again. Remember, this has already been a Category 4, high-end Category 4 hurricane across Central, or moving into Central America. Very nearly made it to a Category 5 hurricane. So now this is going to be a hurricane again as a Category 1, moving towards Florida, and then like over the weekend it's going to move back out into tropical Atlantic. By then it's a tropical storm or post-tropical depression, but whether it could power up again a third time once it gets out into the into the warm waters of the tropical Atlantic. We would have to wait and see, but certainly this system is still going to be in business even by the time we get through to the weekend. The position of this has changed quite a lot. At one point, this has been forecast to move like due northwards in towards the Gulf Coast of like Alabama and Mississippi and Louisiana, but now it's been forecast like curve over to Florida. So I don't think it's been forecast particularly well. Very unusual system, this, and causing all sorts of headaches, I think, for the National Hurricane Center. They're saying with this, point number one is that life-threatening storm surge is possible early on Thursday along portions of the Florida Gulf Coast from Bonita Beach to, I'm not going to even try and pronounce that, river, including Tampa Bay and Charlotte Harbor. Residents in this area should follow any advice given by local officials. Is that Steinachie River, perhaps? I don't know. But anyway, if you know that river, then let me know in the comments how you would pronounce that. Point number two, hurricane force winds are possible along portions of the west coast of Florida from Anna Maria Island to Yankeetown by early Thursday. Tropical storm force winds are expected by late Wednesday along portions of Florida Gulf Coast from Bonita Beach to Suwannee River, I think that is. And possible, I should have started this, should I? Possible Thursday from Suwannee River to Aquila River, I think that is. I don't know. Interest elsewhere along the Florida Gulf Coast should monitor the progress of ETA as additional watches and warnings may be needed today. Heavy rainfall from ETA will continue along across western Cuba and South Florida and spread northward across portions of West and North Florida Wednesday through Friday. Additional flash urban flooding will be possible in southern Florida on Wednesday, especially, especially across previously inundated areas and across portions of West Florida through Friday. So there's a lot going on. Keep a close eye on all of the warnings and whatnot from National Hurricane Center, NOAA, and your local government agencies down there in Florida. It's going to be rough. It's been a rough old season, but it's going to be rough again in the next day or so. This is how things are looking in the tropical Atlantic and Gulf Coast and those areas at the moment. So, of course, we can see the two areas, can't we? This is Tropical Storm Theta, just here, and this is ETA, just here. You can see out of the two, ETA is clearly the more powerful. So only 5 mile an hour maximum sustained off a hurricane. Probably going to reach a Category 1 hurricane later on today. And it is very close to the Florida coast already. And this system looks really powerful, doesn't it? This system going to move in that sort of direction. At the moment, Category 1. But of course, there's time for this to power up further than that. So keep an eye on things if you are in Florida. It's how the GFS is currently forecasting the next couple of weeks for the tropics. So we've got Theta just there, we've got ETA just there, and that's the next disturbance area just there. Let's see what the GFS does with these then. Let's just quickly go back. So there's ETA just there over Florida, like at the end of week. This is midnight on Friday. Meanwhile, Theta is just over there, still stalled really in its current position. Now, through to the weekend, we find that ETA moves out into the tropical Atlantic, just there, weakens a lot. And then we go on into the early part of next week. So this is Monday. So there's the disturbance areas there. Probably now a tropical storm, I would have thought. That's the yellow X we talked about at the start of the video. So that's now a tropical storm moving into the Caribbean. Looks like ETA has gone altogether. Theta is still there, pretty much stalled off the coast of North Africa and that sort of area. So we move on into the middle of next week, and it looks like this tropical storm, possibly by then a Category 1 hurricane, is moving into Central America, taking a very similar path to the one that ETA took, like last week. And otherwise, we've got this area of low pressure, at least like the remains of ETA up here off the Bay of Biscay, I think, as just an area of low pressure by them. And we run through, doesn't look like anything else is developing at the moment on this latest GFS run, although there is something just there. This is in the extended range. This is 25th November. Something just there off the east coast of America. That disturbance gets going all of a sudden. But otherwise, it looks like things go a little bit quieter then as going to the last part of November. Of course, we are right at the very end of the season now, so you would expect things to be getting quieter through the tropics. And but it's been a big season, so we may get some more developments, you know, even into December. I wouldn't totally rule out the fact that we might be starting to get some quite significant developments even by then. So it'll be just a case of keeping an eye on things, I think, and seeing what happens, really. Right, moving on to look at things more widely across America. So these are the 500 millibar high quality flow charts from the Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF on the left and the GFS is over here on the right. So 500 millibars is an area in absolute high pressure, low pressure. I've been moved around by the jet stream. Red and orange extrapolate to high pressure, blue to low pressure. You can see that both of these models are very similar actually in the 7 to 10 day time frame, which takes us to around the 21st of November. They're both very similar, with a large area of above average heights, high pressure, within the 500 millibar flow, covering many parts of America. There's a trough of low pressure off the west coast, with the jet stream doing something a little bit like that. So the coldest weather is probably in the northwest, actually, with that. But overall, the jet stream doing something like that. And it suggests that through most parts of America, actually, high pressures in contrast, there's a lot of dry weather, and it's probably quite mild as well. The GFS is virtually identical, really, with that area of high pressure sitting through the central part of America, trough low pressure off the west coast, jet stream and the flows going something a little bit like that. So again, both of them look anticyclonic, mainly dry and pretty mild. Of course, it's a continental climate, so under the high pressure there is likely to be frost and night frost and probably fog as well. But on average, you know, this kind of pattern at this time of year will produce above average temperatures through many parts of the states. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. We're looking at Salisburyville today. Salisburyville, the home of my good friend Jeffers Craft, who's asked me to have a look at Salisburyville. So red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Salisburyville. Hope I'm pronounced that okay, Jeffers, Salisburyville. So the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Salisburyville, and a little bit cooler on average. Jeffers actually had some snow, like a couple of days ago on Sunday. There's a little bit of snow there in California. Can you believe it? Just a few weeks ago, it's like over 100 Fahrenheit, and on Sunday it was snow, and it's still a little bit cold on average even now with the upper air temperature, but not as cold as it was over the weekend. The upper air temperature is going to lift up as we go through into the early part of next week, and then they fall back again potentially as we go into like the final week of November. We may see things getting a little bit cooler as well. Generally, except for this sort of lift up in the temperatures here, which only lasts 2 or 3 days, early next week, it looks like things are going to be quite cool in Salisburyville, ready for the next couple of weeks on average. A lot of dry weather coming up over the next week as well, so there's a little bit of precipitation just there, but quite minor. Generally pretty dry for the next week, and then probably more unsettled perhaps as we go into the last week of November at Salisburyville. Temperature anomalies from the 11th to 19th of November are more or less above average in most parts of the states. You'll see that it is a little bit colder here in the west and in the northwest. So, like, this is Northern California, of course, and this is like going up towards like Oregon and Washington State, those sort of areas, and then over here a little bit colder as well. So yes, in the far northwest it is a little bit colder. Otherwise, and just up towards the Canadian border as well, it's a little bit colder up there. But otherwise, most parts of the states actually look milder than average, particularly so for these more southern and eastern states. But Midwest isn't too far from average. Around the Great Lakes, it's like near normal, which is going to be quite cool at this time of year. But the further south and east you go, the higher the anomaly gets. So quite a mild week actually coming up for many southern and eastern, southeastern parts of states. Rainfall numbers also pretty dry. High pressure in control of weather, so most places in the states are going to be dry. It's wetter up the eastern coast, just here on the eastern seaboard. Along the east seaboard, it's wetter there. And of course, in the northwest, we've got that trough out in the Pacific and the colder temperatures. Yes, it's a little bit wetter there, but those are the exceptions, the far east and northwest. Otherwise, most parts of America actually looking pretty dry in the week ahead. This is how the GFS is looking for today. So, of course, this is ETA down here, heading towards Florida. Otherwise, we've got low pressure digging into the northwest, cooler or colder air coming out of Canada into this northwestern corner. And probably quite sort of near normal, really, with the temperatures elsewhere. The upper air temperatures look like that. So it is warm in the east. The upper air temperatures are significantly above average up this eastern side. Coldest temperatures are clearly in the north. The further west you go, it does get a little bit cooler. So it's one of those situations where it's actually cooler in the west and warmer or even hotter over in the east. Let's see what happens over the next few days then. So there is ETA moving across Florida and out into the tropical Atlantic just there. Get this ridge of high pressure starting to get going through the Midwest as we go through to the end of the week. Then a trough of low pressure digs in from the north. So this brings a push of cold air out of Canada into the Midwest and into the north as well, with this trough of low pressure just here somewhere around the Great Lakes, turning wind into the north. Behind that, we've got another ridge of high pressure building. Jet stream, therefore, is going to be doing something a little bit like that. So warm air coming up the east coast, or very mild air coming up the east coast. Cold air plunging through the Midwest, and then out in the west, probably becoming a little bit milder with that ridge of high pressure. So that swipe of cold air from Canada moves over towards the northeastern side as we go into the early part of next week, and then gets pushed away as we go through next week. But you see that the upper air temperatures are pretty cold in the extreme northeastern corner. So these far northeastern states like Boston and Maine, for example, looks like they're pretty cold up there. Otherwise, there's warmer air, though, surging through the central states with that ridge of high pressure. And actually, most of next week looks like it's going to be pretty mild, with those cold winds from Canada getting pushed back into Canada as these milder winds push up from the south. So we're in this area of high pressure through most of next week, and it's looking a good deal milder as well. Out in the northwest, with this area of low pressure just here, it will be a little bit colder up there, of course. We're at day 10 now, which is Saturday the 21st of November. Generally looking quite mild across most parts of states at that point. But out in the northwest, yes, it will be colder with the air digging in from western Canada. Moving up to the end of the GFS run, this is how we look. This gets us to Friday the 27th of November. So that's around Thanksgiving period, of course. So yes, we find that the east again is looking pretty mild, with winds pushing up from the south. At the same time, though, out in the west and the northwest, it does look as though we'll be a bit colder there. These are how the upper air temperatures are looking, still generally quite mild through the Midwest and over to the east. The coldest temperatures are out in the west and up towards the Midwest, for example. The Euro, ECMWF looks like that again. So this is how things look over the next few days. So ETA moves across Florida through to the end of the week. That will bring copious amounts of rain and quite severe weather down there. Otherwise, not a huge amount going on as going to the weekend. High pressures dominating through these midwestern and eastern parts of the states. We've got a trough of low pressure digging in from the Pacific Northwest, bringing more unsettled and colder conditions up there. By Sunday, we start to draw up like a very mild southerly wind through the Midwest, but then this low pressure plunges through to the early part of next week, will bring band of rain, probably some snow as well, and much colder air surging down from Canada. Only temporary, but there is a swipe of really cold air for the early part of next week in the far north and northeast. As the upper air temperatures probably a little bit colder actually for the early part of next week with the ECM compared to what the GFS was showing. So through many of these Midwestern states, actually, the chance of some snow for the early part of next week, snow showers at the very least. And then this ridge of high pressure builds in behind. That'll be a cold ridge initially, but by the second half of next week, then we start to draw up those milder winds from the southwest. The cold air begins to get pushed back up into Canada. And milder air starts to move northwards across the state. So just a temporary swipe of winter for the Midwest and the Northeast should be early part of next week, but could bring some snow to those Midwestern and Northeastern states before milder air from the south begins to re-establish later on in the week. Up to day 10, that's how we look. So it's pretty mild seen across many parts of America by then. That's how the upper air temperatures look. Most parts of states are bathed in those milder upper air temperatures. The cold air has been forced back up to Canada, where it will wait and lurk for its next chance to plunge southwards into America. This is how CFSV2 is looking. So these are 500 millibar heights bring down to week periods. The first week period takes us from the 10th to 16th of November. The coming week has high pressure to the east, low pressures out to the northwest. So the coldest weather is like in the northwest and pushing through to the midwest eventually. Warmest weather is surging up this eastern side around the ridge of high pressure. Into week 2, which is 17th, 23rd of November, so the trough of low pressure with that cold air is pushed back to Canada as this ridge of high pressure builds up from the south, and that brings milder air surging north across many parts of the states. There is a trough of low pressure off the Pacific coast that will have some colder air entrenched within it, so the coldest weather in the northwest by week 2, probably. Week 3 looks like that, probably very mild at this point. This is 24th of November to the 30th, with high pressure through the Midwest into the east. Low pressure is out to the northwest. Most parts of the states will have those very mild winds pushing up from the south. And then we go through to week 4, which is going to be the 1st to the 7th of December, with high pressure up to the northeast, low pressures out to the northwest. All the time looks like the northwest will be coldest here, with jet stream digging southwards into the northwest with these troughs of low pressure. But most parts of the states looking mild, particularly through the midwest and the east, as we continue to draw up those southerly winds. Temperature anomaly for week 1, 1st to the 16th of November, colder than average in the northwest, significantly warmer than average. I say warm because of the intensity of the colour there. So warmer than average in the east and the south, cold than average in the north and in the northwest for week 1. By the time you get through to week 2, nearly all parts of the states are above average. This would be 17th, 23rd of November. Look how extensive these above average temperature anomalies are. Just the west coast on the Pacific looking near normal. Even there, it's not particularly cold, but it is closer to average or near normal on the west coast. But most parts of the state looking very substantially above average with their temperature anomaly for week 2. It goes on into week 3. Again, it's colder on the west coast, so below average temperatures there next to the Pacific, but generally very substantially above average, especially so for these central, midwestern and eastern states. And then we go through to week 4, and there's no real change in the overall setup, so the anomaly remains the same. This is the 1st to the 7th of December, with below average temperatures, cold and average in the west and in the northwest. Trough of low pressure is through here, of course, digging the jet stream southwards, and then we've got this ridge over here, which draws up southerly winds, and so most central, midwestern and eastern states are substantially above average with their temperature anomaly for the first week of December. It's 4 weeks away, though. It's a very long way out, and of course is unreliable. Precipitation anomalies, lastly, so week 1, rainfall anomaly, or precipitation anomalies, it can include snow, from the 10th to the 16th of November, looks like that. So most necessarily in the north, of course, if we get that brief swipe of northerly winds, some of that will be snow as well. Further southwards, drier than average, really, across most of those southern and eastern states. Week 2 is the 17th, 23rd of November, wetter than average out in the west. Looks particularly wet around California, actually, which is a little bit unusual, but of course it is into fall now, so significant rain and or snow is possible up the west coast in week 2. Moving further eastwards, most sort of midwestern and eastern states looking pretty dry and about large area of high pressure. Week 3, 24 to 30th November, above average precipitation in the west, also turning wetter than average through the Midwest as well, up to the north, driest in the south and in the southeast. By the time we get through to week 4, which is the 10th, which is the 1st and the 7th of November, perhaps going a little bit more unsettled then across some parts of the states, with rainfall generally average to slightly above average. So I think this ridge is perhaps receding northeastwards, maybe, that sort of direction. It might be allowing this trough to push in and possibly bring something a little bit cooler, maybe, and more unsettled through the early part of December, or the first week of December. Right, that's it then. So if you enjoyed this USA forecast, then please give us a like on the video. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure to sub to the channel, and we'll have another USA forecast for you next Wednesday. We're going to be back at 6 o'clock with the live stream. And we're going to be giving away a £30 Amazon voucher at the start of the live stream as well. So yeah, giveaway, start the live stream, and then we'll be live streaming the 10 to 14 day for the USA forecast. So that's all for now, and thanks for watching.